everyone? Have you ever wondered why you get annoyed by certain types of people? There are some people who share a little too much personal information and you get irritated. Then there are people who cry easily and you roll your eyes in disapproval. And some people just seem too emotional and you secretly judge them for being too much. But then, what if those annoyances are actually a reflection of what's unhealed inside of you? What if the things that trigger you the most are the things that you need to accept about yourself? This idea might sound controversial, but stick with me because we'll explore this idea further through psychology and real-life examples. And before we dive into the topic, please like this video and subscribe so you won't miss any new videos from us. No one. You get annoyed when someone shares too much personal information. Do you feel uncomfortable or irritated? For example, have you ever met someone who talks openly about their sex life and you can't help but feel disgusted and judge them? Or maybe you know someone who discusses their weight loss struggles and Psychologist Arnold Bass posits that our annoyance towards others, oversharing often stems from our own desire to keep these topics private. We might even envy those who are comfortable discussing these topics openly. According to Bass, when we observe someone else engaging in behaviors that we find taboo or inappropriate, it triggers a sense of disgust in us. And this disgust often masks our envy towards the person's freedom to express themselves in a way that we ourselves have been conditioned not to. It reminds us of the parts of ourselves that we have buried, and it feels unsettling. For instance, if someone talks openly about their sex life, it may bring up our own buried desires and needs, reminding us of the constraints we have placed on ourselves. We might have been raised in environments where these topics were considered shameful or inappropriate, and we internalize these beliefs, leading us to feel uncomfortable when others discuss them openly. However, by confronting these triggers, we can acknowledge and accept these parts of ourselves, allowing us to break free from the limitations we have imposed on ourselves. No. 2. You roll your eyes when they cry. How do you respond when someone cries in front of you? According to psychologist Dr. Ramani Dervisula, rolling your eyes at someone who is crying is a sign that you might feel uncomfortable with vulnerability. You might believe that crying is a sign of weakness or that it is inappropriate to show vulnerability in public. Perhaps you were raised to believe that boys don't cry or that girls who cry are weak. Whatever the reason, rolling your eyes at someone who is crying shows that you are not fully accepting your own humanity. Crying is a natural and healthy response to stress, sadness, and pain. And by judging someone for crying, you are also judging yourself for having these emotions. If someone's tears make you uncomfortable, it might be because they remind you of times when you yourself have cried and felt vulnerable. Perhaps you've experienced societal shaming or ridicule for crying. And now you associate crying with negative feelings. By acknowledging these feelings and understanding the root cause, you can learn to accept and validate your own emotions and the emotions of others. Instead of rolling your eyes or feeling the need to judge someone for crying, try to offer support and understanding. Remember that everyone experiences emotions differently, and crying is not a sign of weakness. You'll silently judge them for being too much. Do you ever feel like some people are just too emotional or too sensitive? According to therapist Perpetua Neo, when we silently judge others for being too emotional, it means that we don't fully accept the full range of emotions that exist within ourselves. We might see someone who is expressive and talkative and think that they are being too much, when in reality we are reacting to our own suppressed emotions. When we were growing up, we were taught to fit into a certain mold and express ourselves in a specific way. We learned to hide our true selves in order to be accepted by others. However, by doing so, we lost touch with our authentic selves and the full range of emotions that we are capable of feeling. When we encounter someone who is unapologetically themselves and expresses their emotions freely, it can be jarring and uncomfortable for us. We might feel threatened by their authenticity and judge them for being too much, because it reminds us of the parts of ourselves that we have buried. However, by embracing our true selves and expressing our emotions freely, we can live a more authentic and fulfilling life. The next time you feel the urge to judge someone for being too emotional, take a step back and ask yourself why. Are you uncomfortable with their emotions, or do you envy their ability to express themselves freely? No. 4. You get frustrated when they speak their mind. Does it annoy you when people speak their minds or stand up for themselves? According to clinical psychologist Dr. Richard Jolson, getting annoyed when someone speaks their mind is a sign that you struggle with setting boundaries. It might be difficult for you to say no or stand up for yourself, and you could be projecting your own frustration onto the person who is speaking their mind. In many cases, people who speak their minds are doing so because they value honesty and authenticity. They don't want to hide their thoughts and feelings out of fear of what others might think of them. However, sometimes people can take advantage of this and use it as a way to manipulate or control others. For example, someone might use guilt tripping or gaslighting as a way to get their way. This can be incredibly frustrating for those on the receiving end, especially if they feel like they can't set boundaries and stand up for themselves. But getting annoyed at someone for speaking their minds doesn't solve the underlying issue. It's important to be honest and authentic, but it's also important to respect other people's feelings and boundaries. Learning how to effectively communicate your boundaries to others is key to building healthy relationships. This can be difficult, but with practice and patience, it can be done. No. 5. You despise when they play with their hair. Let's face it, playing with your hair can be annoying, especially when you're trying to focus on something else. It's like a constant distraction. But according to psychologist Karen Anderson, our annoyance towards someone playing with their hair might be rooted in our own insecurities. It could be that we're envious of a person's hair, whether because of its color, style, or texture. We might also be projecting our own issues with body image and self-esteem onto them. As Anderson explains, our brains are wired to pay attention to things that stand out, which can be both positive and negative. If we notice someone with beautiful, long, flowing hair, we might feel drawn to it and wish we had hair like theirs. On the other hand, if we're struggling with our own body image issues, we might become hyper-focused on the person's hair and start to despise the way they play with it. Ultimately, our reaction to someone playing with their hair can be a reflection of our own insecurities and self-perceptions. No. 6. You hate their carefree attitude. Do you get irritated by people who seem carefree and relaxed while you're feeling stressed and overwhelmed? According to psychologist Dr. Christine Adams, this irritation might be a sign that you're struggling with accepting your current situation and letting go of control. When we see someone who seems carefree and happy, it can highlight our own struggles with stress and anxiety. Their attitude might remind us of the things we used to enjoy in life and make us feel guilty for not being able to let loose and have fun. It is important to remember that everyone copes with stress differently, and what works for one person might not work for another. While some people might be able to maintain a carefree attitude in the face of stress, others might feel completely overwhelmed. It's not necessarily a bad thing to strive for a more carefree attitude, but it's important to find healthy ways to manage stress and anxiety. Practicing mindfulness, taking breaks, and seeking support from others can all be helpful strategies. No. 7. You judge them for making decisions based on feelings. When people make decisions based on their feelings, do you find yourself silently judging them? According to psychologist Dr. Elizabeth Scott, making decisions based on logic and rationality is often seen as the ideal way to approach decision-making. However, our feelings also play a significant role in our decision-making process. When we see someone else making decisions based on their feelings, we might judge them because we think they are not being rational or practical. But this judgment might actually be a reflection of our own struggles with accepting and trusting our emotions. In today's society, we often put a lot of emphasis on logic and rationality as the basis for decision making. We might think that decisions based on feelings are impulsive and irrational. But according to Dr. Scott, this view is overly simplistic and can lead to unhealthy levels of self-criticism and judgment towards others. Instead of judging those who make decisions based on their feelings, we should recognize that both logic and emotion play important roles in our lives, and that a balanced approach to decision-making leads to better outcomes. In conclusion, the things that annoy us about others are often a reflection of our own unhealed wounds and suppressed emotions. Instead of judging and criticizing them, we should try to understand and accept them. By doing so, we can learn to love and accept ourselves more fully. Remember, you don't dislike them. You dislike the mirror they're holding up. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like and share it with your friends and family. Until next time, take care.